All right, here comes Miss Petra. Okay, fantastic. It is 2 o'clock. It is time for our YouTube special. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Finn Wycherley of Supersize Media. We are coming at you live on YouTube. And today we're going to be discussing the ins and outs of the social media activities of the Scottish parties, the political parties, and how they're doing on social media. I have my fantastic team with me. We have the wonderful Alberto, we have Amy, and we have beautiful Petra. And we're going to be discussing all the fun and games. It's time for our YouTube special. Welcome. There we go. Got a bit of feedback going on there. So let's just dive straight into it. So we're not going to be talking about any personal political preferences. We've all, I'm sure, got a lot of views and opinions on who we might want to win, who we might want to definitely lose. But we're not going to be discussing any of those kinds of issues today. We're just going to be talking about what is happening with the different social media parties and how they're using social media in particular. So one of the reasons why we're doing this is because I've been doing this on a regular basis with different kind of political parties every year. And this is the first time we're actually doing it as a kind of live session. Sorry for my incense on the side there. And it's been fascinating for me to see all of this activity, especially from the time of Barack Obama, where he had such a revolutionary approach to social media that he was able to steal the election from the incumbent. So therefore, we're very excited to share with you some of our insights as to how they're doing using Twitter, how they're doing using Instagram, or the main different kind of social media platforms as well. Not to mention how they're doing on their website, as well as their design and the whole kind of marketing ethos. So we're just looking at their online activities for today. So without further ado, let's crack on. I'm going to share my screen so you can see what we're looking at. Let's start with the Scottish Tory Party. All right, so obviously the Scottish Tory Party is not got Ruth anymore. We've got, what's his name again? What's his name? Douglas Ross. Ross, is that the right name? Good start. Anyway, that guy, we've got him in charge. We're so busy looking at the details of social media, we've forgot to remember what the blooming names of the people involved are. That's not a clue as to who we're voting for or not, obviously. So first of all, let's have a look at their website and how they're approaching their kind of online experience. First of all, let's start with Alberto. What are you thinking to their website?
Hello, everyone. From a first glance, I can see that this looks like a quite old website to me. And you can see it from those buttons for call to actions that are not really used anymore, like done like that. So it might be a quite old website and then just updated every now and then when there are elections coming. And also the good thing is that we normally point out is that they have the social media icons almost at the top, but it's easy for people to click on them while they land on the page. They have a good use of this light blue for, of course, branding reasons. And they have this clear message of what they stand for as soon as you log in. What I've noticed is that most of the other parties, and we'll look at that later on, they have an accessible link of their manifesto right on the homepage. While for the Scottish Conservative Party, in order to access the manifesto, you had to go on the top menu, policy, and then click on manifesto. So I think it's a good idea ultimately to have the manifesto accessible through your homepage, because at the end of the day, that's what you proposing for Scotland and for the people, and that's what one of the reasons why people will vote for you. And it's also worth pointing out about their social media, the use of a very, very old social media, which is Flickr, that I believe shouldn't be there, because it's not used anymore. And especially if you want to attract new generation, that is probably the right strategy. And at the same time, they also have this space where you can see a bunch of like tweets, but it's not really clear what these tweets are about. They're not pictures. So again, that to me looks like something a bit old, one of the early stages of the possibility to show your social media activity on a website. So I think that should be definitely improved, and they should come up with a better design. They still have the information on the website, the link, all the links work, so that is good, but it's just the visual to me that is a bit of a problem.
Yeah, it's quite revealing that they're still using Flickr, whereas Flickr pretty much died when MySpace died. I mean, obviously it still exists, there's a lot of fans and things like that, but even so, they've only got like 28 fans on this site, so it's really not worth having, and they should really update themselves and think about using Instagram, because Instagram massively replaced Flickr a very, very long time ago. So it makes me wonder if they're actually interested in targeting anybody under 35 at all, because of the fact that they're A, using Flickr, and B, not using Instagram very effectively. All right, let's look at their Facebook. So how is their Facebook performance doing? Amy? Just unmute.
So the Scottish Conservative Party have spent over £11,000 in ads over 7 days. And from what I found, it appears they have 9 ads running, which is quite a sparse amount of ads in comparison to some of the other parties.
Yeah, so it doesn't look like they're very confident about their ability to secure a solid result because of their timorousness when it comes to actually spending on Facebook ads. Obviously, everybody and their sister and brother can actually put up all the content that they want on the feed, but as we know, that's the type of stuff that only gets seen by 5% of your current existing audience. So therefore, the chances of this post, for example, that was put out there 4 hours ago, actually being seen by the wider Scottish Conservative community, never mind anybody else outside the core Scottish Conservative community actually seeing it, is pretty much a zero. Oh yeah, and he's called Douglas Ross. I was right. Brilliant. And Petra, what are you thinking about well, they're not even doing Instagram, are we? So is there actually an Instagram account for the Scottish Conservatives?
Well, I first thought that they are not doing because they don't have the icon on a website, but then I started checking it on like Instagram and I found that they have an account, but they only have not even 4,000 followers, so it's not a very big like fun community. Yeah, maybe should we wait until?
No, just carry on. Don't wait for me.
Okay, so the engagement rate was actually quite good, one of the best ones. I think they were the second best, like among those political parties that we're gonna talk about later. It was 3.82%, which is pretty good. Like everything over 3% is good. Their average likes are 141. They usually have around four comments. And yeah, they only have one highlight, which I think it would be better if maybe they put more, because like highlights and stories are quite important. But they have a lot of IGTV, so yeah, it seems they spend a lot of time on producing like longer videos.
Interesting.
And yeah, and like
Yeah, carry on.
concerning posts, I would maybe recommend doing more carousel posts and also maybe put some videos sometimes, because it seems they only do like static like posts without any movement or like no videos or anything. So just like pictures.
It's like it's being created by a kind of graphic designer guy, for example. It just looks like it.
Seems so.
And I don't understand what the peach party vote means. I mean, for somebody who's not necessarily somebody who's familiar with the Scottish Conservative and Unionist Party, I don't know what the peach party vote means. It's very, and as soon as you introduce something that's confusing to people, I don't know, it's something that just makes you switch off, because obviously the people who know what a peach party vote is understand it, but everybody outside it just makes them feel very alienated. So every single post seems to be about a peach party list vote. So I'm assuming it means that they're only going for the second vote. Obviously, in the Scottish elections, just to explain, there are two possible votes. One's the constituency vote, and the second one is the list vote. So it obviously means maybe that they're not having anybody standing for the constituency seats, but also maybe they just want to put all the emphasis on the list vote, but still it doesn't explain what a peach party is. Maybe there's something too obvious about that one. But for me, that's a real oops. If you're alienating the majority of your potential audience by introducing a concept that nobody really understands, you're really, really failing. And I agree, yeah, Petra, there's so much more use that you could be having with using the highlights. Remember, although the stories only last for 24 hours, they should all be put into the filing cabinets of the highlights, which are going to be categorized according to what the priorities of the day are, for example. So here you could have one called our candidates. This one could be called everything about our leader. And then the next one could be called our manifesto promises. And, you know, do you know what I mean? And therefore your stories will be dictated by the kind of themes you've got going on in your highlights. Yeah, so brilliant. That's fantastic review there, Petra. Thank you very much for that. Anything on Twitter and LinkedIn, Alberto? You're on mute.
I don't really have a LinkedIn. Their Twitter, sorry, I'll just grab the handle right now. I closed it by mistake. As I was trying to look at their Flickr, and their last post is actually from 2016, so not really a great one. So their Twitter, they have about 42,000 followers. They seem to pretty much engage with the people volunteering for the party, and also whoever is a candidate for them. So they retweet their tweets. And what I've noticed is that very few parties actually engage in a conversation with some of the people, either voters or candidates. They limit themselves to just retweets and maybe liking some of the tweets. And in terms of content, it is pretty much the same as Facebook and Instagram. We have this peach party vote that we still don't know about going on very, very frequently. And yes, I was saying maybe because Twitter is a great place to engage in with like few words, like 140 characters. So maybe just like a little appreciation for the people expressing some positive comments, or either even negative comments, because it's very easy on Twitter to actually have a conversation, an argument, a discussion about something. And I've seen very, very few parties doing that. And we'll see that later on. I think the only one that actually holds a conversation is the Scottish Green Party, but just sometimes. So there should be a bit more emphasis in that, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's surprising that from what we were looking at, none of the parties seem to be very active on LinkedIn. I think we came across one party that was active on LinkedIn, which is quite disappointing, really, because LinkedIn can be quite a good platform for, as you say, initiating those kind of discussions and helping to influence people who are maybe considering whether to vote for that particular party or not. Amazing. Thanks very much. Any final thoughts on how Scottish Tories could be doing better with their social media and their online presence from anybody while I get ready for the next party?
There was just one thing about their Instagram account. So when they post a video, you cannot see the content. All you see is this color, just the how do you call it? Just the background color of a video. If you go on the grid,
Yeah.
and that happens probably because they use a schedule software to schedule the post. But it wouldn't happen if you upload a video manually from your phone or from your device, because you can actually, there is an option when you upload a video on Instagram where you can pick the image that will be shown on the grid. So that is something for everyone, really, using Instagram. It's just a little tip.
Brilliant. Top tips from the team. Love it. Fantastic. Thanks for that. Okay, let's move on to the Scottish Labour Party. So initially, I just noticed there that they're using Google Ads. Did we notice if Scottish Tories were using the Google Ads to make sure that they were found?
I couldn't access data from the website.
All right, so I will do the research. Meanwhile, Alberto, you want to tell us about their website then?
The Scottish Labour Party.
Yes, sir.
Yes. It's very much visual. They use a lot of pictures, which is good, of course. And I really like the fact that they have the red from their branding constantly shown across the website. And they also have this contrast with the very, I would say, turquoise color, which is interesting. It's not a color that you would normally associate with the Labour Party, but I think it stands out like pretty well. And again, same for the Conservative Party. Again, their manifesto has to be accessed through the Where We Stand option on the menu, while it would be better just to have a button somewhere where you can access it directly from the homepage. And then one more thing is that a lot of the parties actually have a shop. And in this case as well, it's hidden under the members section. While maybe it could be a good idea just to have it like on its own, because of course a shop, it's a source of revenue for the party, and it would be maybe interesting to have it just there for people to access it without too many issues, because maybe a lot of people actually don't know that there is a shop. And
yeah, it's kind of buried, isn't it?
Yeah, it's this, and the same thing is if you scroll down, is the chip into our election fund section. I quite like this design idea, having the different buttons with different amount of money that you can donate. I find that quite effective, while for other websites, you just have to click on a section and then a new page will open up, and then you can pick the amount that you want to donate. But in this way, I think it's very nicely done, and it just makes you almost want to donate money to the Labour Party. One last thing about the design is the Join Our Movement section. There is a beautiful picture with this young girls that it's hidden by these rectangles. So from, again, a design point of view, maybe it would be good to give a bit of transparency to those rectangles so that those faces could be shown rather than just like covering them entirely. Or you could move those rectangles a bit lower. But that's just a...
Or even shorten them, really, because there's not a lot going on there.
No, there's this hover option that some text appears, but you could definitely make them smaller, yes. Like half of them.
Yeah.
Really.
Amazing. Thanks for that, Alberto. So a much better effort compared to the very old-fashioned Tory website, then, I would say. Even the images look very kind of fresh. The branding looks very fresh as well. So, and they've got an immediate call to action above the fold, as we say. So one of the strengths of a good website is that people are not having to scroll down anywhere before you're able to collect an email before they go anywhere else. So often it's because, you know, if you're on a business website, you've got some kind of special offer, 10% discount, or get a free document describing the 5 troubles of the entrepreneur or something like that. But here, you know, if you're wanting to find out more and participate with the Tory party, it's just as simple as possible, even before you scroll down. So that's very, very effective. Fantastic, thanks for that. All right, let's have a look at how they are doing with Facebook then. Amy, what are your thoughts on the Scottish Labour Party with Facebook?
Yeah, so before Alberto mentioned that there was a shop, I actually wasn't aware that there was a shop through looking at their Facebook. So a Facebook shop would be particularly beneficial for the Facebook page.
So they don't even have one?
No, I couldn't find one.
Amazing. All right, so basically, you know, there's a massive difference nowadays between organizations that are using the Facebook shop or the Instagram shop. And if you have any kind of products to sell, you absolutely should be setting up a Facebook or Instagram shop or both in order to make sure that that functionality, that whole kind of sales process is like night and day, the difference. So you really, all organizations and political parties should be setting up their Facebook or Instagram shop ASAP Rocky if you want to make some sales quickly. Carry on, Amy.
And then moving on to their Facebook ads, the Scottish Labour Party are spending about double the amount per week on ads. In the last 7 days, they've spent nearly £26,000. And they're spending big amounts on ads too. They've got 4 ads currently running, and their biggest spend on one of those ads is between £7,000 and £8,000, and their second largest ad is £2,500 to £3,000. So it's evident that they're not so much about the frequency of ads, but about getting a strong. They believe that their message is strong in fewer ads.
Interesting. And are they video ads or image based? I see from a lot of the content that they're doing within the feed that they're featuring a lot of videos, and they're featuring a lot of Anna Sarwar, their new leader as well.
Yeah, so it's a combination of videos and static images.
Interesting. And I can see that they've also got a Facebook event page set up for the 6th of May, just in case people have forgotten about it, which is very cute too. And in terms of the actual content, are they getting much engagement? How do you find that their posting strategy is doing? And again, I'm seeing here they're talking about the Peach Party ballot. You know, I'm pretty politically active, but really, guys, Explain to me. Don't use jargon, people. Don't use jargon ever, ever, ever. Call me a dumbass. I don't mind, but I don't know.
They are very frequently posting anyway, and they are receiving a fair number of shares on their posts. Although I have seen parties like the SNP where they have been receiving a great number of shares and engagement on their posts.
They seem to have, is it half the number of following than the Conservative Party, the Scottish Conservatives, compared to on Facebook. So for Labour here, they have 29,500 followers. And for the Scottish Tories, was it a lot more, a lot less?
It was 39,000 for.
39. Okay, so they were more. Yeah, I was quite surprised that it was so much less, considering the Scottish Labour Party traditionally in Scotland over the last 20, 30 years since the Second World War have been the strongest party, obviously, until the SNP party came around. And then, and now they're in third place, even behind the Tories in terms of Facebook activism, I would say. Quite surprising. All right, thanks for that, Amy. How about Instagram? Do we have any Instagram game from the Scottish Labour Party?
Yeah, so the content on Instagram was very, very similar to the one on Facebook. So it seems they have like one content that they post on both social media platforms. And the content, they are mainly, or like not mainly, but there's a lot of videos of, it seems, of their supporters that they like just film themselves explaining like why we should vote them. They have just a little bit more than 3,000 followers, and the engagement rate was also pretty good. It was 3.44%, which is good. They have 107 likes usually, or like it's average, and 2 comments. And they post quite a lot of posts. It was 12 posts a week, so like every day, and even sometimes even more. What else? Oh yeah, the good thing I would say is that they are using the highlights. They have quite a lot. Well, not so, but they have more than the Conservatives. But what I would recommend to have like kind of the same cover picture, or like a template for all the highlights, and just like maybe even the size of the font the same, or like the same font, the same size. I think it could look much better than like having one quite big and then the other one is like you cannot even read the text.
Yeah, these ones are far too small, especially because 85% of people are on their mobile phones. So it's going to be very difficult to see that content and be enticed to actually click through on it. Yeah. Brilliant. And they're using IGTV as well, but not so much as the Tories.
Yeah.
Interesting. And nobody's using Reels yet. Maybe the next election we'll get some Reels coming in. And they've got some obviously quite active on their stories. And overall, in terms of the design on Instagram, it's a very Instagram friendly type of design. Look, they've got some animation going on there. They're making good use of videos. They're making good use of different, they're making the personalities of the people a lot more engaging as well. So they're definitely reaching out to, I would say, an even younger audience. Good use of the colors. As you say, the fonts could be a lot better with the highlights. Yeah, and you get a good sense of who they're trying to talk to and who they're trying to impress and influence on the different channels. Awesome. Thanks for that. Okay, what are we thinking about Twitter and LinkedIn for the Scottish Labour Party? Alberto.
Right. For LinkedIn, the Scottish Labour Party doesn't really have an account. We can find an account from the main Labour Party. They have about 10,000 followers, but no posts going out. So it's just there as a, I don't know, just because they need to have one, perhaps, but they don't really use it. And for Twitter, the Scottish Labour has quite a high amount of followers. It's about almost 50,000 followers. And they do, I think, a nice job with the emojis used on tweets. That can be very powerful because they catch your attention. Maybe some of the tweets have a bit too many of them, like a tweet that just went out a minute ago has something like 10 or 12 emojis. Maybe it's a bit too much, but
This one here?
let me have a look. Yes, that one there.
I'm only seeing 2 hashtags.
Yes, and the hashtag strategy as well has definitely needs improvement across all the platforms, I would say, not just Twitter, but Instagram as well, and perhaps Facebook. And pretty much like the Conservative Party, what they do, they try to support with retweets, of course, their leader, but also all the people involved in the councils, distributing leaflets or talking to people, and so that showing that they have support and they're almost like a family all working towards a common goal, which is winning the elections. There's one thing I could not check if any of the parties are active on with Twitter ads, because the Twitter Transparency Center has actually changed since the very beginning of February, end of January. So we're not allowed to check ads anymore, unfortunately.
That's annoying.
Yes, because it was a very good way, just like the Facebook one, to see if any of these parties were running ads on Twitter. But we can't see that.
Yeah, I think you're right, though. I'm loving their use of the emojis. I think it's really, really classy. I haven't seen anything this good in a long time in terms of emoji game. People may say it's insignificant, but it's actually the kind of, the eye reads the designs quicker than they read the images and the words. So sometimes the emojis can convey a lot before you've even started to read the text as well. The other good thing I would say about the Scottish Labour Party is they seem to follow me, which is magical. So they might even get a vote because of that. And that goes to say that, when you're actually out there as a party or even as a business, don't be shy to be actually going out there and following people who you think are going to be influential or even potential prospects for, voters and things like that. Yeah, which is one of the reasons, I guess, why Barack Obama is following me as well on Twitter. But hey, that's how it goes. Again, surprising that none of them seem to be operating on LinkedIn as well. Okay, so let's go to the next party. And we are going to be covering is it the SNP next or the Lib Dems? I think it's Lib Dems next, isn't it?
Yeah, Lib Dems.
All right, let's go to the Lib Dems. While I'm getting it set up, Alberto, you want to give us a understanding of how they're doing with their website?
Yes, so they've got, as you mentioned before, there's a call to action to sign up and put Recovery First for Scotland right in their homepage. So that is it's a very good strategy. The only thing I would say about this website, because I know that the Scottish Liberal Democrats, they have this distinctive yellow color that they use throughout their campaigns, the posters and the leaflets, but you don't see it that much on the website. You do see in some of the buttons that you can click, but they have this very white, almost very flat background that I think is, I don't know, it just doesn't give me the idea of a fun website to look at, especially because with that yellow you could achieve so much more, but they don't seem to use it that much. The website is complete as well. They got they don't have a shop, which is interesting, and also they do not have any particular space for their social media links, and that I think in 2021 is quite bad, because pretty much everyone has a social media icon or 2 or 3 on their website, but they don't. And so I'm wondering, how can people access or go to their social media accounts if you don't have any icons here? And so that's definitely something that they should fix. And not even if you go through the contact us section, you can access social media. The only thing that you can do, you can share a page on your Facebook timeline, Twitter, or as a LinkedIn post. So that I think they should improve the branding and add social media, and maybe also have some videos that automatically play that can be quite powerful, I would say sometimes, but they don't seem to have any of that. And even, for example, when you go on the learn more section, for example, of our campaigns, you see this learn more text appearing, and then there is the play button next to it. So you would almost expect that there is a video playing if you click on that, but actually you're taken to another page full of articles. So I don't really like that. I think it's a bit confusing.
Very confusing. And they've got an interesting one about their history as well, which I don't think we see that with the other ones.
No, that is actually, yeah, it's a nice feature to have on the footer, and explaining a little bit what's the history behind the party. And when you click, you actually taken to a timeline of the party history, which is quite interesting. It's got a lot of like text and images from the past, and it's potentially an interesting read, especially for people approaching the party for the first time. And history stops 2015, more or less.
I wonder why. Brilliant. All right, thanks for that, Alberto. Okay, over to Amy. What are we thinking about the Scottish Liberal Democrats? How are they performing on Facebook?
The standout thing for me is that their engagement is quite low on every post. And when they do receive comments on the posts, it seems to be quite negative and not very supportive at all. And sometimes it's a bit people taking the joke out of the party as well, which it doesn't give them good publicity, really. Yeah.
Okay, and then in terms of the ads, what are we seeing with the ads?
So Lib Dems was spending 3,400 over 7 days, and I'm just...
Yeah, and we can see that there's a lot of emphasis again on the leader. The leader seems to be focusing quite strongly on their campaigning. Willie Rennie. Yeah, there seems to be very low levels of engagement, which is quite surprising for a political party. And then, of course, to spend £3,000 in a week, it's not very convincing that they're very confident that they're actually going to get some kind of return on their investment. I would imagine if they were feeling more confident about their chances, they might want to put more money on it. But maybe they are sublimely confident and therefore they don't need to actually put any money on it. But as we were saying before, if your content is only going out onto your newsfeed, less than 5% of your fans are actually going to ever see it. So you've not got much chance of getting out there effectively unless you've got a fantastic ads strategy. All right, brilliant. Thanks for that. How about Instagram? Amy, Petra, what are you thinking on their Instagram game?
Yeah, so Instagram, the same as Amy was saying with the Facebook, they don't seem really like they don't put a lot of content out. They only have just over 1,000 followers, which is the lowest number of all these political parties. And they also only post 0.51 posts per week, which they are not like, it seems they are not active at all. But the surprising thing, on the other hand, was the engagement rate that I checked, and they have the highest one, which was 4.62%. So it seems that they only have like a few, relatively few followers, but they are really into their content, or like they are really engaging with their content. So
Interesting. And then, of course, what that means is that if you have a good engagement rate, then the algorithms understand that your content is actually decent, and therefore they make sure that your reach is going to be much higher as well. So that's the benefits of having a good engagement strategy. So the idea that people used to have back in the old days of just posting and ghosting, those days are gone, because we need to prove to the algorithms that our content is good, and we can only, objectively speaking, prove that by having good engagement. Engagement means likes, comments, and shares, and people stopping in the scroll, basically. They don't seem to have any kind of stories going on for today, but overall they seem to have at least attempted some stories with themes called Avimore or hashtag exit from, and then the Trump visit. So even on the highlights or the stories, it seems like they're not even putting much effort into it. It seems quite dated, their content there.
Yeah, exactly.
Brilliant. All right. Any other? And they've got the IGTVs going on, which is great, but that would only
Yeah, but
be
only one video.
one.
And the same like the other parties, they are not using Reels.
Yeah. That's a step too far for most of them. Very disappointing. Could do a lot better, that's for sure, in this day and age, considering Barack Obama got elected, I don't know, so many years ago. It's disappointing to see the Scottish parties really not making the most of what social media can offer them in terms of influence and opportunities to gain votes from people who are undecided. All right, so let's move now on to the big beasts. That would be the Scottish National Party, the SNP party. So let's have a look, Alberto, at their website. What are you thinking?
So the branding, of course, is very strong. You have this very light yellow that you find pretty much on all the content being predominant on the website, together with, I would say it's not really a black, it's a very dark gray, almost charcoal. And the website is well organized. I like the fact that at the very bottom, when you usually add the name of the designer or the company in charge for the website design, they say design and build in Scotland with a little Scottish flag. And that is actually, it's a very strong message because it again shows what the party stands for Scotland. Of course, they have their very publicized referendum pretty much everywhere. And it's, as I suggested before, they also have videos on the website that people can access. And what I would suggest is maybe to move the sign up as a supporter section at the top. But what they do have, they have the top menu with the take action section highlighted with a background color, so people can actually see that almost immediately because it's a color that stands out. It's this purple violet kind of color. And their social media icons are at the bottom, and they seem to be the party using the highest amount of social medias, because they have also LinkedIn, YouTube, also the Scottish Labour Party has a YouTube channel. And yeah, I think it's a good website. I quite like it, and it's got all the informations.
Yeah, it seems to be a huge website. You've got all of these different sections here, as well as these sections up at the top. And I love how they have kind of highlighted the take action bit. So when you're looking, obviously, when you have too many options, people tend to kind of freeze and go, what the hell, which one will I choose? But the fact that they've put the big color kind of pointer at this one means that's the one that people will often choose to take first. Which takes them to the take action button, which means that this is where the website is trying to take people as soon as they arrive here, so they can see the latest news, find the latest events, etc., and the campaigns and donations as well. So very, very sophisticated website, and they're not leaving much on the table. Love it. Very, very impressive approach to taking the whole online experience very, very seriously as well. Brilliant. All right, Miss Amy, what are we having on Facebook? What are our thoughts on how they're doing with Facebook then?
I would say that their Facebook is quite effective. It's got a good amount of engagement. It gets nearly 1,000 well, at least 500 pieces of engagement in terms of likes and reactions, but often more than that. And in terms of ads, they are currently running. They run ads very frequently, actually, and it's in the many rather than being sparse in the ads. They're currently spending nearly 10,000 in the last 7 days. But what's interesting about their ads is that they are spending between £100 to around £400 on each ad, opposed to maybe £1,000, or like the Labour Party, they were spending £6,000 or £7,000 on ads. So the strategy of SNP is to go little and often.
Interesting. And it looks like they're on Twitch as well. Fantastic. Very innovative. Good use of emojis as well. Good use of videos. And the videos are not just like videos shoved in there. They're videos that are very, very well designed with, of course, the captions, the what's called subtitles that are coming up at the same time. Fantastic. The engagement rate is stupendous. And of course, they've got 331,000 followers, which is like miles and miles and miles ahead of the Scottish Tory Party and the Labour Party, Scottish Labour Party as well. So I guess that would indicate why they don't need to necessarily spend so much on ads, because they are sublimely confident about their prospects out there in the voter land. Fantastic. Thanks for that. Okay, over to Instagram. What are we thinking on the Scottish Scottish National Party's Instagram account, Petra?
Yeah, so they have just over 52,000 followers. I was quite surprised by the engagement rate. That is only 0.52, which was the lowest one. To be honest, I expected like the engagement rate to be higher. They post a lot of videos, and especially lately, but they are not doing any carousel posts, which I would highly recommend, because even the engagement rate is always higher on carousel posts because people spend more time looking at it. So I think this is one thing that they could improve. They have 3 IGTV, and the last one got over 6,000 views, which is, considering the size of the followers, they have 52,000 followers. I think it's not too much. So
And it looks like a well-produced video as well.
yeah.
Oh, it must be
Maybe
their party political video, I would imagine. Interesting.
And again, they are not doing any reels.
Yeah, fair enough. And then, but they seem to be making good use of the highlights. And they're using the Instagram stories as well, which is great.
Mhm.
And they're using animation, which is always fantastic. Yeah, so they're obviously taking their social media presence very, very seriously. Maybe some of these highlights could be a bit updated though. The branding needs to be improved on these ones, but these ones all seem to be quite old anyway. So they should just be rethinking just to make it the branding consistent and the kind of messages of the different themes for the highlights a bit more consistent as well. Amazing. All right. Thank you very much, Petra. What about their Twitter and LinkedIn, Alberto?
Right. So their LinkedIn, they have an account to start with, but it's not really frequently updated. The last post is about a month ago, and it's one of those Facebook posts that we're seeing where there's a very high quality video, and again, a very good use of emojis and some hashtags, not too many. I've seen, for example, the Liberal Democrats LinkedIn account, but not the Scottish one because they don't have one. So the main one, they tend to use LinkedIn to post everything that deals with small businesses. So maybe they found a strategy for small business owners and target them on LinkedIn. Who knows? But it could be a reason. And in terms of Twitter, they have a huge amount of followers. I think it's the highest one amongst the Scottish parties. It's more than 300,000 followers. And once again, we can see very high quality content produced and adapted for Twitter, and great use of emojis and some of the hashtags. They even do some GIFs, which are very high quality ones. They must have a very, very good agency working for them. I'm quite sure. I don't know. And in terms of strategy, again, we see what most of the parties have been doing on Twitter, which is trying to get the local leaders across the main account by retweeting them and liking the pictures, or even putting some comment. What again I don't see is that level of engagement with voters that I would like to see, but it's complicated at the same time because everyone has a different opinion, and you can read that below the post with the people tweeting and commenting. So I understand that it could be a choice to not being part of the conversations sometimes, because it would be endless if you had to deal with every single comment, and you would need a massive social media team, not just a few people like I suppose they have.
Yeah, and even as we're scrolling down through Twitter here, we've only got to the content that's just been posted in the last hour. So this is content that's been posted, as well as the content that's been retweeted from, as you say, the other volunteers and the supporters out there on the streets doing the activities. And yeah, I just want to commend them on their fantastic kind of structure of how they put a tweet together. This is a lovely 1-minute video, very well designed, very well put together with animation and everything. Nice moving elements to it. You've got the nice caption of the message that they're trying to put forward, and nice, fantastic bullet points using the emojis, and then the lovely call to action, the all important call to action at the end of it, and all within the beautiful time restraints that you have, which is a fantastic discipline on Twitter. Brilliant, thanks for that. Any other kind of platforms that we looked at for SMP? They seem to be on Twitch, but I would imagine they're on other lesser ones, as you say, the YouTube ones as well. But we can talk about that in another day. All right, let's go to the next one. We've got 4 more minutes to go, so let's trot on as fast as possible. Trot on. I haven't used that phrase for a long time. So let's look at the Alba Party and see how they're doing. And hopefully, if we've got time to get to the Scottish Green, because the Alba Party is a brand new party. It was launched a couple of weeks ago. And so it's the new guys on the block. They've hardly been attending any of the hustings, because the hustings, I guess, were set up a long time ago where the other main parties were involved. And it was launched by the former head of the SNP party, Alex Salmond. So any thoughts on the website and the branding there, Alberto?
Yes, it's quite strong. I'd say it's a very nice and visual website. And especially if you think about that, it was set up not very long time ago. And I've seen that in order to set up this website, they used a service for that. It's called Nation Builder, and it's usually used for organization, movements, and campaigns. And it's they just have to pay a fee every month, and you get your website done. So I think it was a very smart move, rather than have a website built from scratch that can show some early issues during the testing phase. But since they needed something that had to work straight away, I think it was a good choice to go for this service. And the branding is clear across the website. Of course, you have this blue from the Scottish flag, and you got all sorts of like call to actions and pictures. And at the very bottom, they have this section that I find really, really nice. And you can basically see all their social media activity in one place. The only problem is that they don't really have much social media activity, especially for Instagram. Or Facebook and Twitter are better, but we, of course, Amy and Petra will cover more of that.
No posts? No, that can't be true. All right, fantastic. Thanks for that. Yeah, it's a very lively type of website, well designed, and it's good to see that they've been able to use that kind of template format in order to build something really, really quickly that's not going to have any technical glitches as they launch as well. So, Amy, what are you thinking about their Facebook experience?
My first thought is that I'm not really seeing anything posted by the actual page. It's more individual members, which gives me the sort of feeling that it feels more like a Facebook group rather than a Facebook page. And I'm not very aware who these people are, so to me they don't feel like they've got a lot of authority unless they've got this it's like the cover photo in their profile picture. They've got like an Alba Party on their profile picture, but to me I feel like if they were posting from the page with more branding, that would make it a stronger Facebook page. But because there's a number of posts that I don't really know who they're coming from, I'm just a bit unsure about it.
Yeah, and it is bizarre that they seem to be putting up like their photo shoots. This is a collection of 46 photos. What, are we supposed to go through all 46 of them? What would be the purpose here? And then the first one that they've got up there, there's 4 plus, you can have a look at another 77. Like, why would anybody do that? Why? This is not a social media experience. This is check my blooming photo album, check my holiday snaps type of activity. Really a very poor understanding of what Facebook is all about and what social media even is all about.
You'd have given us a Dropbox link or something like that instead.
Anything else on their ads? How are they doing with the ads on Facebook? It doesn't look like they have a Facebook shop either, which is a bit disappointing.
They've only got one current ad. They had 2 video ads, but they've become inactive in the last couple of days. They had been spending a little bit more on the video ads, but now they've reduced the expenditure.
Ooh, that's very telling. We're not even 2 weeks, a week or so in. There's a week to go until the election. This is the time where you ramp up your spending, surely, in order to get the people who are not very convinced over the line. Rather, this is not the time to be actually reducing your spending on making sure people can see your content. Because the thing is with Alba Party, they haven't been able to get a lot of mainstream, like the mainstream newspapers, TV and radio to take much of an interest, because as far as they're concerned, this is a tiny, tiny minority party. And so therefore, this is the opportunity for Alba to be actually getting out there and using their social media to engage their audience and mobilize the troops, very much like the British Labour Party under Jeremy Corbyn. They used social media to a devastating effect in the sense that they were able to mobilize so many young people who are disenchanted with mainstream media and mobilize them through social media. So it's very disappointing that Alba Party has not decided that they want to be able to do the same thing with social media, to be able to own their space in this place. Very disappointing. All right, and let's go on to Instagram. What are we thinking of the Alba Party on Instagram?
So they only have 408 followers, this account, and just only one post that was posted on 8th of February, which is when the party was founded. So they only posted one post. But then I just looked into, well, I was like doing a little bit of research, and I found another account which is called Alba Party Northeast. And this account has a little bit more followers, more posts, and yeah, it seems like this should be the main account of the party.
Wow, that's really confusing though, isn't it? To have one called Alba Party Northeast and the other one called Alba Party. And this seems to be one there where they're actually active, got lots more followers. They're using even IGTV at least. They're not even using the stories, and they're certainly not using any of the highlights. Very much nul point for Alba Party. Okay, yeah. Let's move on quickly now to Twitter and LinkedIn. What are we thinking, Alberto?
I didn't see any LinkedIn, but the Twitter account, yes, is there, and they have about 11,000 followers. And they seem to have a better strategy compared to their Facebook with the thousands of pictures. And they have some content that goes out exclusively for Twitter. They have a decent use of hashtags. Of course, they have there's super majority hashtag going on, and vote Alba. And they also use a fair amount of emojis. But I think also what I've noticed also on their Facebook is that their strategies is very much focused on the face of their leader, Alex Salmond, which I understand because is a known person in the political environment, former first minister, but maybe let the ideas speak. rather than have that is face constant almost on every single post.
Yeah, I guess that's a really good point. When people don't necessarily know your brand, if this applies for a business, never mind a political party. If people don't necessarily know what you stand for, what your values are, what your ethics, what your products and services are all about, then it's very much an educational process in the early days to make sure that people understand what's going on, and then start growing from there. Yeah, definitely. Okay, finally, let's go. We've run massively out of time, but I don't want to ignore the last ones. The Scottish Green Party. So let's, Alberto, if you want to kick us off with the Scottish Green Party, and then we can wrap.
Yes, they have a very simple website. It's not too long. It's got the social media icons at the top. Unfortunately, they only have a Facebook and Twitter, and the Twitter one sends you to their very old account, which is a bit annoying because it only takes a couple of minutes to change that. And again, they've got this highlight of a call to action, whether it's joining the party or donating some money to the party. They've got a shop as well set up, which is quite good. And as I was saying, they've got this read our 2021 election manifesto right on the homepage. So people just have to click and the manifesto will open on a new window, which is good. Like something that I like, rather than having people go and find it somewhere on the website. Just put it there, and it's the easiest thing to do. It's very user friendly, and yes, it's very basic, I would say, as a website. They've got 3 articles on the homepage from the blog, but that's all you can see. There's no option to, I don't know, would say scroll. I have a sort of carousel with all the different blog posts that went out. So definitely needs some improvement.
It seems quite thin, huh?
Yeah.
Yep. Fantastic. Alors, let's go to the Facebook. Amy.
So the first thing that I'm noticing is that they have the Facebook page reminds me a little bit like the SNP page, just very strong branding across every post. And another thing I like is that when they do have videos, they have the subtitles as well. But generally not a lot of engagement per post with the Green Party.
Brilliant. And then what about the ads?
The Greens are spending over £6,500 over 7 days. And again, like the SNP party, they're going more frequent with ads. They've got 24 ads. So their strategy is also frequent and often.
Or maybe they're a lot more targeted. So they might be putting out, ads specifically to different regions or different specific demographics, rather than a couple that are going to everybody in Scotland type of thing, or everybody who's a fan. Brilliant. Awesome. Instagram, Miss Petra.
So they have almost 6,000 followers on Instagram. The engagement rate was 2.49, which could be better, but it's not so bad. They have a lot of IGTV videos, and one particular thing that I found was they are using carousel posts as the only political party that we talk about today. So I think that's very good, because as we said before, these carousel posts, they usually have higher engagement. Yeah, like their carousel posts usually have over 6% engagement. So That's pretty good.
And so this is what a carousel post looks like. You basically don't have just one image per post, but you have several images, and therefore a person is forced to scroll through the images as they're looking at the feed, which naturally, automatically increases your engagement rate, because of the fact that people are being forced to spend more time looking at your post than they would rather than scrolling through onto the next stuff in your feed. Brilliant. And of course, they're using the Instagram stories fantastically. We've got a couple of quite a few stories going on there to do with their podcast, their supporters, their volunteers. Very good use of video, very good use of branding, and all the kind of tagging, the links, animation. So they've created some animated stickers specifically for the election. So it's very interesting to notice where, with all the different parties that we've looked at, that you can see which party has got somebody who understands Instagram. You can see which party has somebody that understands Twitter. But I guess the only party that seems to be mastering all of the platforms, including LinkedIn and Twitch, and I'm assuming, and YouTube, of course, is SNP. So I'm afraid we're going to have to give it massive thumbs up for the SNP party in terms of their approach to online experience, influencing hesitant voters, having a real great understanding of how each platform works, and a real massive oops to the Alba party, who were really quite disappointing considering they're a new party. I think Liberal Democrat came close behind because they didn't even have the icons on their website, and their appearance on the different social media platforms was quite desultory, I would say. Any final thoughts from you guys before we wrap up then today?
It's all good from me.
We all good?
Yeah.
Amazing. You've done so good. I'm so pleased. I think we've been very, very fantastic, very thorough. I'm sure we've left out a lot of information, but we're already well over an hour into this discussion. So we'd love to hear your thoughts on the things that we've discussed. Obviously, I hope we haven't revealed any kind of influences in terms of our political persuasions or not. But yeah, it'd be great to hear your ideas. And if you like what you've heard and seen today, feel free to sign up and subscribe. We have a regular marketing clinic on a Friday afternoon where we're breaking down normally business type of brands, the large brands and the small local ones. But it's been nice to be able to look at the political ones too as well. On that note, I will see you next Friday, and maybe we'll have a new person in charge in the Scottish elections, will we? What's the date next Friday? My calendar is
It's the 7th.
7th, yeah. So we'll definitely have a new, not even a new, at least we'll have a fresh the party in control of Scotland at that point. Okay, so thanks very much, everybody, and I will see you next Friday.